what the NEP says. How do we make a global citizens and how we have to carry our ancient values, our national values with us when we are going to bring up our children with this new education system.
Will lead to an improvement in the way the educational system works, especially for the disempowered, especially for those who need to be awakened, who need to be brought up to speed with the world around them. I am sure it will. I wish you the very best.
NEP is a vision document. So we have to understand NEP is not going to address it. It has to be addressed by the universities, by the institutions, by the faculty.
Many analysts actually equate the NEP 2020 for academics to the 91 liberalization for the
be able to graduate ourselves up in order to create environment in our institutions where multidisciplinary education is in the truest sense. Multiple exit, multiple entry is also made.
Silicon Valley, it became Silicon Valley because of the academia fraternity, which pumped so much of fuel. Industry started revolutionizing.
This is what the NEP says. How do we make a global citizens and how we have to carry our ancient values, our national values with us when we are going to bring up our children with this new education system.
Your deliberations will lead to an improvement in the way the educational system works, especially for the disempowered, especially for those who need to be awakened, who need to be brought up to speed with the world around them. I am sure it will. I wish you the very best.
NEP is a vision document. So we have to understand NEP is not going to address it. It has to be addressed by the universities, by the institutions, by the faculty.
Many analysts actually equate the NEP 2020 for academics to the 91 liberalization for the
be able to graduate ourselves up in order to create environment in our institutions where multidisciplinary education is in the truest sense. Multiple exit, multiple entry is also made.
Silicon Valley, it became Silicon Valley because of the academia fraternity, which pumped so much of fuel. Industry started revolutionizing.
This is what the NEP says. How do we make a global citizens and how we have to carry our ancient values, our national values with us when we are going to bring up our children with this new education system.
Your deliberations will lead to an improvement in the way the educational system works, especially for the disempowered, especially for those who need to be awakened, who need to be brought up to speed with the world around them. I am sure it will. I wish you the very best.
NEP is a vision document. So we have to understand NEP is not going to address it. It has to be addressed by the universities, by the institutions, by the faculty.
Many analysts actually equate the NEP 2020 for academics to the 91 liberalization for the
be able to graduate ourselves up in order to create environment in our institutions where multidisciplinary education is in the truest sense. Multiple exit, multiple entry is also made.
Silicon Valley, it became Silicon Valley because of the academia fraternity, which pumped so much of fuel. Industry started revolutionizing.
The ability to read. The ability to read, write, analyze, the confidence to stand up, the qualification to get your foot in the door and take your seat at the table. It all starts with education. I, on behalf of IGEN Edu Solutions, young Indian startup, welcome you all on this fourth national web series powered by AWS and Intel, the world's leading IT industries. This program is supported by Ministry of Education and AICTE India. This program is technically supported by IEEE Smart Grid and Prakash Bharati. IEEE, a power consortium of IEEE Student Chapter. The technical and media partners are Edu Life India, Great Alliance, and Energy and Power. A very great good afternoon. It's my extensively privilege to welcome our Chief Guest of the Day, Shri Dr. R.K. Ranjan Singh Ji, Honorable Union Minister of States for Education and External Affairs, Government of India, and our Honorable Professor Anil D. Sahasrabuddhe Ji, Chairman AICTE, esteemed panelists, delegates from academia and corporates. Today is a great day because I hope this NEP 2020 will break the stereotypical assumptions of education and take forth the national and ancient values of the country to make the academic system as a freedom for the society. Let me introduce the leading lights for this event. Dr. Manpreet Singh Manna Ji as Program Chair, who is presently the faculty slide and member UNO MOOC Committee, former Director AICTE. And other leading light, Mr. Dilpreet Singh Ji, employability consultant at AWS, most charming and energetic moderator of this session, Ms. Akanksha, and dear friends, before further ado, let me ask Manna sir to brief about this session, about this program. So over to you, sir. Over to you, Manna sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for giving this opportunity. So, dear friends, today we are here for the 4th edition, especially designed for the eastern part of country India and especially for the northeastern states. The moment NEP draft came to the country India, we all were excited, and at the same time, the institutions, the faculty, as well as the stakeholders, the learners, they wanted to see the true fruits, those have been the part of this NEP to become in their different domain areas. And same time, it is a great moment to mention over here, the IT sector like AWS, Intel India, and many others, they wanted to hear the challenges, how the challenges which they are facing, being an institution, being a university, to be design a digital curriculum, design the courses for the industry 4.0, and how to make an employability index to be improved, and keeping in mind the NEP 2020 salient features like multiple entry, multiple exit, and academic bank of credits, and how they can be enriched with this. So keeping in this mission in mind, we started this journey last year, and today we are here for the 4th edition of the same. And I'm sure today, with the great visionary leaders, as our honorable chief guest of the day, Dr. Ranjan ji, and our guest of honor, Professor Anil D. Sahasrabudhe ji, we are going to start today's sessions with them, with their blessings, with their vision, so that we can carry forward in the panel discussions, followed by the great academic leaders of the eastern part of my country, India, and the northeastern states of our India, so that the great learners, teachers, as we got more than 5,000 registrations for this event, and already more than 2,000 participants joined through YouTube link, and more than 200 or 300 already joined from this particular Zoom link. I welcome all of you on the behalf of the organizers, and I'm sure that today this 1 hour session is going to be take us to the next level. So now it is a time to introduce our guest of honor, Professor Anil D. Sahasrabudhe ji. Professor Anil D. Sahasrabudhe ji does not require any kind of introduction for any higher educational learners from last 7 years as a chairman, All India Council for Technical Education. And I could serve during his tenure in AICTE as a capacity of director, and I learned a lot from him. So he's a man with a mission, and he's giving the new dimensions, a new level of education to our country through technical education domain. He started his career from the northeastern states itself, because he started his career after completing his graduation from the BVB College of Engineering Technology, Hubli, then master's and doctorate from the ISC, Bengaluru. He joined his first institution, Northeastern Regional Institute of Science and Technology, nearest at Arunachal Pradesh. Then he moved to IIT Guwahati, and he is a full-time professor in IIT Guwahati, from where he was deputed for a full-time professor to College of Engineering, Pune. And after 9 years of stay there in College of Engineering, Pune, he joined All India Council for Technical Education in 2015. He has many awards on his name, and he is the member, chairman of many international or national boards or committees, where he is giving his wisdom, his knowledge, his experience to make our education system as per the new education policy document 2020. So now I request our honorable guest of honor, Professor Anil D. Sahasrabudhe ji, please address the audience. Over to sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Manna, Honorable Minister of State for Education as well as for External Affairs, Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh ji, Dr. Manna, Dr. Indrapreet Kaur, and all the persons who have joined this online program today. We are all pleased that with the collaboration of people like Amazon Group, AWS, on Intel, as well as ASOCHAM, and many other industry leaders as well as academicians. This fourth version of the National Web Series on NEP 2020, especially for Eastern region, is being conducted today. I welcome all the institutions who have joined from the Eastern region, Northeastern region. My heart belongs to there because I spent my 2 decades over there. And therefore, I'm very happy. Our chief guest, Dr. Ranjan Singh ji, also is from that region. So we are all very, very delighted and happy to talk about new national education policy. In the last 1.5 years, at least, there have been hundreds of webinars and seminars to elaborate on various issues related with the new national education policy. But the sum and substance is how our students who graduate from our educational institutions become employable. Some of them become entrepreneurial. Some of them will become leaders, not only in education sector, but in all other fields of life. And that is to be created through the system of education, be it from the school education to higher education. And that is the focus which has been there in the new national education policy. And Ministry of Education, in all rightful earnest, has been continuously dealing with reforms after reforms. They all started little earlier before the new education policy came in, but now we have started in full swing in terms of implementing the policy. The first and foremost is the multidisciplinarity. We have been advocating that any type of education has to be multidisciplinary, because you take any product process in the world outside, it is having not one particular element, one particular education requirement, but all variety of education requirement. Therefore, holistic multidisciplinary education is important. For an engineer, philosophy and psychology is as important as for a physics teacher. Maybe music will be equally important. And that's why the education sector has to open up their wings to incorporate courses which are possibly from other domains of education, either in the form of electives or in the form of extra learning, and that scope has to be provided by all universities. And I'm happy in the last 1.5 to 2 years, many universities have started adopting multidisciplinarity of the nature of education. And that is the true spirit of education. We need to create individuals who are leaders of tomorrow, who are holistic in their approach. And therefore, when Dr. Manna was talking about Industry 4.0, the future skills, which are going to refer to the employability index of our students, they should also be very much focused in the values, ethics, morals, integrity. Without that, no nation can progress. And that's why universal human values, the induction of the students, when they come into the program, this is very, very important. Value-based education is very, very important. Humanities and social sciences is equally important, will make them empowered. But at the same time, all the new technologies which are coming in today, students of not only engineering, but also from arts, commerce, science, they must get a taste and flavor of that. Like we say that basic mathematics everyone should understand, otherwise they will not be able to do business. They will not be able to go to a market and buy a product, or to get a change after you give a 500 rupee note, what is to be returned. The basic arithmetic is required to be known by everyone. Similarly, literacy in terms of language, writing, reading skills. Today, the skill of computer, what we say, use of even our mobile phones to using internet has become a very important skill set. Along with that, new skills like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, they are becoming equally important, are useful in commerce as well as in economics, as much as in engineering. So therefore, when we talk about multidisciplinarity, a science or an arts college should have a course on AI or machine learning as much as a course of economics or psychology in an engineering school. So this is the first part which we have started doing it. Then the policy also talks about multiple exit and multiple entry. Multiple entry has two perspectives. We already were allowing, especially in engineering, those who have done diploma, they would directly come into second year of engineering. This was already allowed for last 4-5 decades. But how even an ITI student can aspire to come into engineering by doing some bridge courses, first in diploma and then from diploma into engineering, or one who has done BSc, can he come? Or if someone has missed out on not taking, say, physics in his 11th and 12th grade, and in the new scheme it's going to be 5-3-3-4. That means last 4 years where there will be no stream like science, commerce and arts, and therefore students have taken all combination of possible subjects. And if at the end of those 4 years they desire to want to come to engineering, because you have not done physics, closing the doors on them is not correct, and therefore multiple entry includes people who have done different types of programs or courses, but whatever is necessary to do engineering has to be learnt, and therefore there will be mandatory bridge course. So that student who has not done physics have to do 2 physics courses, understand the basic principles of physics, and then go on in the engineering domain. Similarly, if someone has taken mathematics, chemistry, physics and wants to get into economics because you didn't do in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade economics, stopping him is not correct. Let him do some basic courses in economics and do Bachelor of Arts in economics. This is possible, should be allowed to do, was being allowed, and it should be now vigorously being taken care of. The third part is we are talking about entrepreneurship and employability, and therefore embedding of skills is important. Right from school time, right from 6th standard onwards, people must have some skills to be earned in terms of whatever it is, in terms of it may be even carpentry, or it may be foundry, welding, electronics technician, or it could be even music, dance, drama. These are all skills which a student, if he is able to earn when the student is in the school sector itself, when he comes into higher education, he can further develop that and then become much more better employable. And therefore, skill sets embedding into our curriculum is important. And if someone has taken vocational education as the stream, don't stop him from getting into a formal general degree program. There must be opportunities for movement horizontally from vocational or skill education sector to a general education sector. And someone who is in general education feels that this is not a cup of tea for him and therefore wants to change and get into the vocational stream, he should be allowed. And that's why this academic bank of credits, of allowing all the credits being done, recorded like in a bank account we have money. Similarly, the credits earned will be available in the credit account of the student, and he may or she may make use of it if they change the track and go somewhere else. And this is a very empowering moment for our students who are having difficulties in not able to continue because of a variety of reasons, not being interested too, because of family difficulties. Someone leaves in between, he must be in a position to enter back again into the education, earn the degrees. And most importantly, the whole policy revolves around 5 pillars of access, equity, affordability, accountability, and the accreditation, which is very, very important. Therefore, quality education, which should reach the nooks and corners. Lot of support is being given for online education, which we started even before the policy in terms of SWAYAM, in terms of NPTEL, in terms of virtual labs for quite some time, more than 1.5 decades. But now in the budget session, they talk about a digital university, 100% digital university is also being there. And therefore, how our students from remote areas, rural areas, who cannot spend a lot of money to come to the college in a city or town, but being at their respective homes, using the technology, using the internet, by being at home, how can they also become graduates, become employable, become entrepreneurs, is the future. And therefore, future is very bright. The policy has all the elements in a manner that probably there is no policy in the world which has taken holistically the entire outlook of education in such a broad-minded manner. But the only part is the implementation part. And that's why my appeal to all the teachers who are here, the Vice Chancellors, their role is very, very important, because whatever is there in the policy, in the book, has to be brought into the field, on the ground. And if it is done, only then the success of the policy will come. Our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji quite often is saying that this policy is not meant for keeping in the almirah nor for sending circulars, but actually in the ground implement it. So wherever there are difficulties, please come to the regulatory body, come to the Education Minister, come to the Honorable Minister of State. We are all there to help you to implement in right perspective, make the nation a great nation, a nation where education started, the first university started in the world. First education itself through Gurukula started in this country. Let us make again this country a great country in terms of education and attract students from all over the world to this country. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for such a great insights about the NEP 2020. And I'm sure that each and every word you have uttered, which is very much linking the true fruits of the NEP 2020, because sometimes when we are reading the document, being a faculty or being a student, sometimes we may not get the true spirit, what exactly the NEP 2020 says. Although it's a simple English, but still to make it more practical way, you have explained it very well, sir. And under your leadership, all the Indian universities, especially the technical institutions of our country, are implementing it. And I could witness from last couple of years, more than 1,000 workshops or Atal online FDPs has been conducted in the area of NEP under your leadership, sir. Thank you very much for joining us today and giving your great insights to all our participants and the panelists. Thank you very much. With the short notice, I understand you have a parallel sessions going on, but still you could make your time to be available. Thank you, sir. Now I request my colleague DP Singh ji to please introduce our chief guest of the day and welcome our honorable chief guest. Before he is going to give a little brief about the honorable chief guest, I would like to be mentioned here, dear participants and dear panelists, our honorable Minister of the State, Dr. R.K. Ranjan ji himself is a true teacher first. He is a true teacher who started his career with the teaching profession only. He completed his PhD and post-graduation geography from the Guwahati University. Then he started his career as a faculty, as a lecturer, then assistant professor and deputy registrar and registrar, as well as for the UGC Academic Staff College Development Director, Manipur University. He's a man who could feel unless we go to sit on a other position, we cannot bring the revolution in education system. So he opted to be in the very active politics of our country, India. And before joining a politics, he wrote many books related to that domain area for which he is expertise. And now everybody knows a man with a man with a very focused policy to bring the revolution, especially in the northeastern states, for the education. He have taken the dual charge of MOS. One is for the education and for the external affairs also. Sir, we are all Indians are grateful to you, how you supported to bring back all our Indian students from this Ukraine in the last couple of months. I could watch you and all your colleagues, ministers, traveling themselves physically there to bring our students, to bring our Indian citizens back very safely. And for this, we all Indians salute you, sir, for this great vision. So now I request our DP Singh ji to please formally welcome him to the desk. Over to DP Singh ji.
Thank you, Dr. Manna, and good afternoon to all of you. It's indeed a matter of great pride for me. It's a very proud moment that I have this privilege of extending a formal welcome to our honorable minister, Dr. R.K. Ranjan Singh ji. It's very rare that you actually get ministers who are from the same domain, right? So, and I think we are fortunate. We are fortunate to get you and to listen to you now. Sir, I would also like to state that time is one of the most important assets, and especially when you are at a senior level, at the country level, at the helm of affairs, I think getting your time, that important asset of yours means a big thing to us. It's very, very inspiring, very, very encouraging. And sir, I would also further add that as the industry, we are supporting the education industry as a technology industry. We are supporting and we are there for the education industry, for the NEP to be executed. All the solutions that are possible are available in the country to support the execution. And there's a lot of work that is already happening. And I'm sure, sir, you are aware of it. Someday, if we get an opportunity, we'll talk more about it to you. But for now, we would like to listen to you. We'd like to hear from you. if you could give us how you are looking at from that helicopter vision as to how the NEP is moving forward, and what is your guidance, what is your advice to all of us so that we can successfully execute on the framework that has been created by the central government. Thank you once again, sir, for your time, and we really, really appreciate this, sir. Over to you.
Namaskar. At this fourth national web series on NEP 2020 East Edition, my warm greeting to Professor Anil Satrapathy, Chairman AICTE, Dr. Manpreet Singh Ji, and Mr. Dilpreet Singh Ji, and Dr. Inderpreet Kaur Ji, and different Vice Chancellors of the Northeastern and Eastern universities, the esteemed panelists and the moderators, and participating faculty and students of higher educational institutions of mainly Northeastern states. I'm glad that Amazon Web Services, in collaboration with Intel, is organizing this national web series to bring about awareness about the National Education Policy 2020 of the Government of India. The National Education Policy 2020 has duly recognized the critical role of education in transformation of the country as a knowledge economy. However, in this transformation, technology is required to play an important role in the improvement of educational processes and outcome. New technologies involving artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchains, smart board, handle computing devices, adaptive computer testing for students' development, and other forms of educational software and hardware will not just change what students learn in the classroom, but how they learn, and thus these areas and beyond will require extensive research both on the technological as well as educational front. In implementation of the National Education Policy 2020, the thrust of technological interventions should be for the purposes of improving teaching, learning and evaluation processes, supporting teachers' preparations and professional development, enhancing educational access, and streamlining educational planning, management, and administration, including processes related to admission, attendance, assessment, etc. Particular attention is now required to be paid to emerging disruptive technologies that will necessarily transform the education system. Our education system now needs to focus on developing higher order competencies of students instead of on their factual and procedural knowledge. Higher educational institutions are required to play an active role not only in conducting research on disruptive technologies, but also in creating institutional or instructional materials and courses, including online courses in cutting edge domain, and assessing their impact on specific areas such as professional education to be scaled up further. Data is a key fuel of artificial intelligence-based technology, and it is crucial to raise awareness on issues of privacy, laws, and standards associated with data handling and data protection, etc. It is also necessary to highlight ethical issues surrounding the development and deployment of AI-based technology. Education is required to play a key role in these awareness arising efforts. Other disruptive technologies that are expected to change the way we live and therefore change the way we educate students include those relating to clean and renewable energy, water conservation, sustainable farming, environmental preservation, and other green initiatives will receive prioritized attention in education. Teachers require suitable training and development to be effective online educators. It cannot be assumed that a good teacher in a traditional classroom will automatically be a good teacher in online classroom. Aside from changes required in pedagogy, there are numerous challenges to conducting online examinations at scale. Further, unless online education is blended with experimental and active-based learning, it will tend to become a screen-based education with limited focus on the social, affective, and psychomotor dimensions of learning. Thus, technology in education is a journey and not a destination, and capacity will be needed to outreach the various ecosystem players to implement policy objectives. A dedicated unit for the purpose of outreaching the building of digital infrastructure, digital content, and capacity building is being created in the ministry to look after the e-education needs in both the areas of school and higher education. Since technology is rapidly evolving and needs specialists to deliver high quality e-learning, a vibrant ecosystem has to be encouraged to create solutions that not only solve India's challenges of scale, diversity, equity, but also evolve in keeping with the rapid changes in technology, whose half-line reduces with each passing year. This dedicated unit will therefore consist of experts drawn from the field of administrations, education, educational technology, digital pedagogy, and assessment, e-governance, etc. The technologies and educationists needs to work as a team to effectively deal with the above-mentioned challenges. In implementation of the National Education Policy 2020, I see this national web series on NEP 2020 awareness organized by Amazon Web Services and Intel for faculty and students of higher educational institutions of mainly northeastern states in the above perspective. In organizing this web series, technical support provided by startups like IGEN Edu Solutions, IEEE-Prakash 10 Smart Grid Technical Activity Committee and the IEEE-Prakash Bharati, a consortium, or IEEE Photonics Society Chapter of India also deserve recognitions. I am hopeful that the STEAM panelists for today's panel discussion will put forward valuable ideas for implementation of NEP 2020 in letter and spirit. I congratulate and also thank the team of organizers for taking the NEP initiative of the Government of India further by bringing the academia, industry, and all other stakeholders on a single platform to create a synergy in Indian education system. My best wishes for the success of the program. Thank you for all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
So I request all panelists to switch on their cameras so that we can catch this precious moment of our life. So I request all the panelists, esteemed panelists, guests of honor to please switch on your cameras and special invitees.
Thank you very much, sir. Such a great words of wisdom, especially when it comes from the Government of India, when it comes from the top position of the Government of India, when they speak about the faculty, about the students, about the technology, it means that we are on the right track, sir. With your words of blessings, words of gratitude, and words of wisdom, we got a full support. We have a complete support from the Government of India, which is AWS as a mission to reach out to the institutions of the country, universities of the country, to make this dream of our country's honorable Prime Minister to digital university. So with the digital university, without IT solutions and without IT expertise of our country, it would be difficult. So that's why we requested, and they are coming forward and they are making this mission a great success, sir. With all your support, we are grateful to you for joining this session as a chief guest and making all our participants and panelists given your viewpoint from the Government of India side. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm sure, sir, you would be as long as you can be the part of this program so that we can keep having endorsements from your side when the panelists are going to put their point. So now it's the time to start our technical session with the panel discussion, for which we have a great personality, a young, dynamic, a lady from the Intel as well as AWS India, Miss Akansha Balani. She's the Regional Alliance Head for AWS Asia Pacific and Japan Intel. She is the complete institution herself who takes a great IT professionals, developers with her. In the last 15 years of experience, she could bring 1 lakh developers to our country. Yes, 1 lakh developers could get the great grooming from her in the different parts of the technology. Either you talk something about the cloud computing, you talk about AI, you talk about the other kind of technologies. She do take the great coders of our country together. And she is going to be the moderator for this high power panel discussions, for which we have the great speakers with us. Siddharth Taranjit Singh ji, the Managing Director, JIS Group of Kolkata. In the eastern part of country, I say the whole country itself must be knowing the personality like Siddharth Taranjit Singh ji, who having a more than 29 institutions, including a medical sciences, dental sciences, engineering technology, and humanities, for which he is giving a great education system to more than 40,000 plus students in the area of Eastern India. Then along with him, Mr. Joshnamash Dutt, the Managing Trustee of the Assam Downtown University. Assam, whenever you land to Assam, you talk about the university, the name comes Assam Downtown University. The first ever private university to have make the Assamese feel that they should not go outside the Assam to get the education, because they have brought all the courses available in their university. Professor Samita Samanta ji, the Vice Chancellor of KIIT Bhaveshwar. KIIT is a name in our country when we talk about the institutions with the eminence, institutions with the quality of education. So KIIT name comes with our top 10 institutions and universities, and she is leading this group. She is leading this university as a Vice Chancellor capacity, and as she has a great education, not only from India, even outside India, like a Stanford University, US Fellow of Royal Society of Arts, and it's great appraisals comes to her name, and this is what we are going to witness today in the panel discussion. Moving ahead, Dr. Bhaveshwar Thangram, Vice Chancellor, Manipur Technical University, the only technical university in the whole Manipur, and he is leading as a Vice Chancellor. Dr. Thangram, he is the Fellow Engineer India, Chartered Engineer India, Deputy Director Technical Education. He served in Manipur from 2011 to 2021. With the 1 decade of experience in the technical education, he have taken over now as a Vice Chancellor. I'm sure today we are having a very great deliberations with these all personalities. Dr. Chingtham Tejbanta Singh, he is the CEO. He is the CEO of Atal Incubation Center for SMTUBL, Sikkim Manipal Institute of Technology. Yes, we brought the technology with us. We brought the technocrats with us. Being an academician, he is the CEO, and he is taking care of the Niti Aayog's special mission program that is under AIM, and he's leading this as the CEO. Professor Tulashwar Nath, Principal, Girjananda Institute of Management Technology, Assam, Guwahati, an institution which is giving a great multidisciplinary approach to the students. They have a very good group. They have a very good number of students with them. And to conclude this session, we specially invited a person, Engineer Chief Secy, Chair of IEEE R10 for the Smart Grid Technologies. And he is the complete person to give any kind of center of excellences, any kind of smart grid labs to the Indian universities, not only Indian, for the whole Asia Pacific, being R10. Luckily, he was in India for last couple of weeks, although he is from Canada, and he is the gem of person, and he would be concluding today's session. So now, without wasting any time, I just hand over the session to our Akansha ji to take over this technical session under your moderation. Over to Akansha ji.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mana, and really appreciate the kind words. And again, want to, on behalf of Intel and AWS, congratulate the fact that we're having the 4th National Web Series on NEP 2022 in 2020 in 2022. So really excited to be part of this. Very honored to actually be in the presence of Dr. R.K. Ranjan as well as Dr. Anil. And congratulate the entire team for getting everyone together. Very exciting to see the level of participation that's there in the middle of the day at 3 o'clock. So we hope that along with my esteemed panelists, we are making this session valuable for the attendees today. Really, the objective of this session is to try and ensure that the collaboration, the power of collaboration towards a segment like education actually comes into life. And what we hope we can do is, by the collaborations and the discussions from the top academic leaders from the India institutes, as well as the industry leaders, we're able to come up with some great groundbreaking mechanisms of how we can make IAA as well as IIA embed with what the program from TIE needs to be. So hopefully we could come up with some groundbreaking ideas and move that into implementation mode for the next series that we have. With us in the industry, time and time again, what we've recognized is when there is a technology that's accessible, that's consumable, and when the barriers of its adoption are low, this gives rise to a tremendous amount of demand. And through that demand rises various business models, various usage models, and ultimately a lot of opportunity. We think the technologies under Industry 4.0, whether it's cloud, whether it's HPC, whether it's AI or IoT, has brought actually various segments into life and making them more performant and making them more impactful to the citizens of the world today, and obviously the citizens of India. And education as a segment has been a very strong consumer of the latest and greatest of technologies. NEP is literally setting the stage on making sure that adoption and the convergence of technology with education is actually building the future of our workforce. And as per what our esteemed chief guests have already mentioned, the direction is upon us. So with that, you know, the audience really is for you guys to listen and see the vision of the experts that we have on the panel today, and see how you can, as individual contributors, help us on this journey collectively. So my first question really is to Dr.
Just 1 second. There is a small change on behalf of Sardar Taranjit Singh ji. Sheila Singh, the Vice President of JIS Group, is joining in the panel. Thank you. Thank you. Please.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mana. So my first question is to Dr. Taranjit Singh. The government of India has allowed 40% of course content to be online. So it's really bringing in the heterogeneity of what education can actually do with technology. But this requires a change in teaching techniques, teaching skills, and the way in which we assess students. So how are universities preparing for the same? Dr. Taranjit Singh.
A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries and all our participating honorable members. Ma'am, on behalf of Mr. Taranjit Singh, for extremely and urgent unavoidable issues, he is not here. So I'm Singh host.
Welcome.
I'm taking the privilege to answer your question or to put some lights on this question, because this is very, very relevant, and I think everybody is willing to know about it. The thing is that, ma'am, it is a coincidence that our NEP education policy has been released, and from last 2 years we are suffering in such a unprecedented events that shown us that how important is this, how relevant is this new education policy for the nation to face any challenges. This policy has got the solution for everyone. This bucket is full of the contents or full of the opportunities being continuing in these academic institutions or academic segment from last 25 years. What I have learned and I have experienced that a large number of people was, not in the proper way, they have been catered the opportunity of education through our legislative system. So this 40% online or MOOCs, education, it is now not a desirable thing. It has become essential. So that I would like to stress upon, that through the policy, this is a very well thought process. And I'm thankful to my government and mainly our Honorable Prime Minister that it was, we are already late. We are already late, ma'am. So immediately we need to execute this policy so that, not only this 40%, but there will be many, way out, and the system will teach us many ways out to make it a very, very comprehensive education policy so that, our dream, our 100%, all students, candidates, or our children, they will be covered under this huge education system. I believe and I wish that nobody should left out, from this system, because I want to refer Nelson Mandela that if you want to destroy a country, you don't need to war. You need to destroy the education system. So we are in the right path. We have taken the very timely decision, and this is absolutely fabulous. Only one thing I want to say, this bucket is having the useful content for each and every one of our country. Thank you, ma'am.
That's a great answer, Ms. Sheila. Completely agree with you. The reason to keep the education uninterrupted is the key objective of absolutely every institute that's out here, versus putting a roadblock on it because of not being ready because of the policies that have been put in place. So it's great and it's very directional. So thank you so much for that. My next question is to Dr. Datta. Dr. Datta, outcome-based education has been spoken about many times over the last 5 years or the few years, and one of the key objectives of NEP. One of the key elements is the quality of teachers. Our assessment-based or rote learning is actually a thing of the past, right? And now it's more about applied learning, time availability, and teachers needing time to prepare to be up and close with the latest of technology. Do you think technology can help in these areas? Have you explored technologies to strengthen OBE in your organization or in your experience? What are your views, Dr. Datta?
Very good afternoon, Dr. Ranjan Singh, Anil Sahasrabudhe sir, and all other eminent panelists. It's great to be here. Well, firstly, Akansha, I'm not a doctor yet. I don't know when I will be. I'm just Mr. Thank you for promoting me.
It's always future thinking, Mr. Datta.
A little bit of motivation there, maybe from your side. So what you are saying, it's going to be very, very challenging. What we are saying that for the last 20, 30 years, the Indian education system has worked in a compartmental system. And more or less, most teachers who are now teaching in universities are passed out from that system. So we expect these teachers to implement an absolutely new radical way of teaching, while they themselves have learned it in a different way. So that is going to be a great challenge. And to overcome that challenge, I think technology has to play a key role. So now we all have our faculties. The faculty is going to be the most important implementers of the NEP. No matter what we do, how many sessions we do, at the end, the implementation will be done by the teachers who are sitting in the universities. So for them, additional training would be required and openness would be required to accept this new form of teaching. As Dr. Anil Sahasrabudhe also said, that why are we shutting down doors for students, which was the existing system in the Indian education system? If you have studied XYZ subjects, now why should you not be allowed to study something else when you go forward in higher education? So first, this acceptance has to be important, like seminars, awareness sessions need to be done for faculties. Secondly, as you're mentioning, there will be now a lot of variables in education. Previously, when you studied a subject, all the subjects were already decided for you. So for 3 or 4 years, you're going to be studying exactly those subjects. Now you have a lot of variables. You're going to be deciding subjects, deciding sub-subjects perhaps. So it will be very important for institutes to have a robust ERP or the learning management system, which will be helping you actually implement this. Otherwise, implementing this in a very conventional registrar system like we have in old colleges will be very difficult. So teachers have to be trained in these new educational technical products. They have to accept it. And these EdTech products will greatly help actually to support the institutes and the students to implement these new systems in the NIP, which has so many variables. And also it will make life easier for the students. If the students also understand that there's so many programs are available, these new systems of learning are available, great. And as you mentioned you've already mentioned that 40% open courses are allowed, online courses are allowed. That also will be great help. Because as we go forward, this is going to be a massive change. So massive change, if needs to be implemented, you need all kinds of support. So the government that has allowed us to access products of so many open sourcing, open learning softwares are there. Like you have your AWS Academy, there's something like a Coursera, there is Swayam, there's so many platforms. To accessing this will greatly help a lot of institutes in adopting the process of NEP much faster than normally we could have. So I believe technology will play a very key role, and this will help the process of implementation in NEP much faster than it conventionally could have been done. So teachers have to be made sensitive to this. They have to be trained in this, and the whole education, the entire stakeholders, everyone involved have to understand its importance and implement it as soon as possible.
Great answer. Absolutely, Mr. Datta. And in addition to that, I definitely do think that the value of learning by collaboration and experience, I think that is also one more thing that, you know, of course, organizing workshops are important. Of course, organizing expert lectures are important. But when someone is dealing with a problem, when a science teacher is trying to struggle with teaching, you know, the math times tables, or you know, the how are they going to cut a frog up virtually, I think there's a whole lot of other teachers that are also dealing with that. So having sessions where you're actually learning by sharing experiences and building those recipe books with the use of technology is going to be very, very key and crucial. So I think having those collaboration models and then building those and setting them up in a marketplace or an educational place, like how AWS has its marketplace, where all the open source community goes out there and accesses what is needed, and the work has already been done by somebody else. So having that collaboration model and that portal could be something that Dr. Manna, you should help spearhead along with IGEN, and then have all of the experts here be actually part of that, because I think there's a whole lot of knowledge and learning here. But great answer, Professor Datta. Okay, my next question is to Dr. Tongram. What are the major challenges in execution of NEP in letter as well as in spirit? It's a very loaded question.
It's to me?
Yes, it's to you.
Okay.
Yes, Professor Tongram.
Okay. Good afternoon to everybody, all the panelists, chief guests, and other guest invitees and other VCs, honorable VCs, and the other panelists, and all the organizations and institute heads who have joined this fourth seminar on this edition of the National Education Policy. Since this National Education Policy, I want to talk more on that, the answer to the technical intervention, because since this is also the fourth edition that pertains to this region, because all the institutes and all the organizations, all the universities in this region, including the northeast of India, are scattered and are in far-flung places. So since education has a key role in creating a knowledge society and a knowledge economy. So in education, we need a technical intervention very much, and especially in the region, and more especially in this northeast region. And since I am representing this a technical university, so we are having first priority is resource sharing. Since all the educational institutes are far-flung areas, so we need to have memorandum of understanding between the universities, institutes, and organizations, so that the resource sharing is very much, because the resources available in one university or one institute may not be available in other institutes. Since we are starting this education and policy in multidisciplinary and holistic approach, so we'll be giving more flexibility, more variability. So we need more resources. So since we are going to have more, we are not be able to provide in one institute the resources. So we need resource sharing. So besides this, we need to have collaboration regarding the facilities. So we need in these areas, we need the virtual labs, which will be shared between the other institutes and the universities, and we can have the research and the incubation centers. We can have the innovation cells, which can be shared and accessed by all the students and the teachers also, not only from one university, but from far-flung areas, especially in this region. And since this technology intervention is needed, so for improving the teaching learning, for the evaluation process, for supporting the teacher preparedness, and for the professional development, for the enhanced education access. So streamlining education is very much needed. And besides that, we need to have a focus on the digital divide among the regions and among the students, since our region, northeastern region, including the Northeast, there is a huge digital divide. So to bring the inclusivity in this national education policy, we have to focus more on this digital divide. And besides that, we have to improve the digital infrastructure for this blended mode, or this thing online mode, or any mode. This thing, we need to have this infrastructure, this thing for this national education policy, and for this resource sharing, or for this all these focus areas and the initiatives to be implemented properly. And besides, since this education system will be pertaining to this thing in the natural or the vernacular languages, since we have so much different languages in this region, we need to have interpretation or translation of all the resources available in the national digital bank, or we need to have all the educational access with the digital or technical intervention. So in this area of this improvement of the national education policy and an implementation of this, we need more infrastructures. We need more to increase the infrastructure and decrease the digital divide. So that we can implement this national education more fruitfully, or so that this education, there's new education policy, which will be creating India as a superpower, this ripple reaches the villages and the communities in far-flung areas of this India. Thank you.
Great answer, Professor. Absolutely. I think what I learned or hear from you, it's about access, it's about concurrency, it's about agility, and it's really about making sure that you're having access to the cutting edge and the latest and the greatest, so that, again, education continues to be uninterrupted. So very, very valid points. Dr. Mana, do you want to add anything further? It is a very strong topic, and challenges within NEP execution is.
In fact, I would like to be add over here, especially Akansha. Some of the sitting panelists must be knowing about this. When I implemented Northeast Quality Improvement Program for 4 years from AICTE, worth of 200 crores was there in my hand to be given to the grants to the institutions, the Northeastern. The challenges are very typical. If we are going to compare the Northeastern states with the other states of my country, I think the challenges are entirely different. So they well said, the Vice Chancellor well said, the previous speakers well said, we have to have the different execution model for the different parts of the country. When AWS is coming with the AWS Academy in Mumbai and Bengaluru, it's amazing. But where there is no internet facility even, so how we are going to run the academy over there, although you have the great content on your AWS portal, I have a job portal as well as so many other things. So we have to look into this part of that digital infrastructure, the cloud resources which you can provide them without even erecting the towers, how we can reach out to them. So that's the change. And I'm sure in the coming days, the ministry already have spending huge for this particular, and special tourism has been improved a lot. When we have given a hometown privilege to be in LTC, we are traveling to the Northeast and we could see the change. Yes, in coming days, I think it is going to be add on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mana. Okay, my next question is to Dr. Chief Secy. And excuse me if I call you doctor instead of a professor. At the end of the day, you guys are very, very knowledgeable deities. So with the academic bank of credits coming into play, how is your institution preparing for the same? And do you feel that this is going to have impact? Dr. Secy?
Yes.
I think, Akansha, we can, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I am audible?
Yes, you're very much audible.
Okay, thank you very much. And first of all, great efforts, Dr. Indrapreet and Akansha and all the panelists. I was a bit late in joining. I was tied up in so many things due to my travel, but thank you so much for giving me this time, and thanks for this great effort. I would like just a few, I will not take a long time, just few things to add is, I see all these challenges. I see what is happening in the industry outside, industry 4.0, digital transformation. Our bigger focus is just on one segment, I will say, energy and power system, and engineering education related to this electrical power and energy and all that. But I think everybody is aware that these days electrical power system is not the old power system where we just saw like transformers, motors, wires and all that. With the smart grid happening, digital transformation of the grid, distribution automation and all that, there's a whole bunch of IT, communication, software, hardware, you name anything, telecom, big data analytics, cloud services. So we're focusing on all these things. But we have found the bigger gap is between what we teach as our institutes based on our traditional system and what is happening outside in the industry as per the latest technologies. So we're trying to also help the industry. We are also trying to help the institutes and the engineering students and the faculty, how we can fill that gap, what we teach and what is happening in the industry as per the latest trends and technologies. So that's what we are trying to do. And I think collectively and with all the collaborative efforts, we can make some difference, especially in the Northeast area where there are a lot of other challenges. But I'm very confident that with our global efforts and global, I will say, experience and expertise, so we can do a lot. And I will be happy to assist in any way, wherever I can assist.
That's great. Thank you so much, Dr. Saini. Absolutely, sustainability and conservation continue to be top of mind for technology builders as well as providers. So all the collaboration that can be brought in from research and academia is always very welcome. So thank you so much for that. Professor Nath, would you like to add a little bit more about how you feel the academic banks of credits are going to be implemented and what the impact could be? Is Professor Nath on?
GMIT, Professor Nath.
Are we having connectivity issues? How about we move to Dr. Sasmita Samanta?
Thank you, Akanksha. I think it's a very enriching session for all of us, listening to Honorable Minister, listening to Honorable Chairman of AICTE and all the esteemed Vice Chancellors, panelists, and experts present here. And all have given their diverse opinion, their thoughts put into this national education policy. As rightly spoken by Professor Sahasrabudhe, I was listening to him very keenly, that he spoke that since last 1.5 years, hundreds of sessions have been organized on this national education policy. And then also we all are expecting that maybe there is some dearth in our analysis of this policy as it is so broad, and everybody is trying to bring some newness to the system itself. And after listening to my previous speakers, what I understand about this national education policy, of course, all the speakers have given their opinion on this, but very serious issues this national education policy carries the capabilities in it. One is relevance. Second is that it brings educational agility with itself. While I talk about relevance, if we see very keenly since last 2-3 decades in this country, we are many times talking about the employability skill. Our people are not employable because whatever they are learning from the university, it's not relevant to the job market. I'm not talking about corporate job or public job, or it is self-employment. We are talking that the people, those who are coming out from our higher education institutions, they are not employable because their studies, their knowledge system is not relevant to the requirement of the time, if I say in that way. But if we see keenly this national education policy, it keenly focuses on regional, national, and international relevance of the subjects to be taught by the university, which will be decided by the faculties and students together. It's not that somebody will be coming, prescribing them that what to study, how to study. Two things are very important in the university: what to study and how to study. If I study mathematics, in mathematics subject, what I will be studying and how I will be studying, that is also very much important. That whether I will be using the lecture method, whether I will be using the math labs, whether I'll be going to the communities, discussing with the people, exploring the theories, teaching them, bringing that knowledge to the university campus. So there are many things how to study. So in this national education policy, that level of autonomy has been given to the institutions and all the stakeholders that the relevance of the education can be maintained. And second thing I said, agility. While comes to your question, the academic bank of credit. If we see for maintaining the relevance, now in industry, we are talking about agile technology. Being a faculty in management, we are always teaching about agile management. And we are trying to devise the mechanism, how fast we can cope up to the need of the time. So in this national education policy, through this academic bank of credit, this policy is trying to bring that agility to the system. If anyone is interested to study physics, initially he has thought of, and after studying for 1 year, he is deciding that if he's studying only physics, it may not be relevant, or it may not cope with his or her own dream, whatever they are perceiving or they are dreaming to pursue in their career, and he or she wants to study quantum physics and he wants to take some subjects from other discipline, that flexibility is there. And if today I personally believe in a class, while we teach to the 60 number of students, each one of the students come to the class with their own vision, with their own plan, a plan of learning to a particular class itself. I teach organizational behavior. If I teach organizational behavior to 60 students in a class, few are from commerce, few are from business, few are from technology, each one of them are having their own aspiration, what really they want to learn from the subject. So while I design my pedagogy, I have to design my pedagogy to meet the aspiration of all the students in the class itself. So anyone is learning physics and KIT suppose, and he has studied for 1 year, he wants to learn quantum physics, and in a particular discipline, he does not want to continue in KIT, he wants to learn in Delhi University. So if he thinks that whatever the syllabus is being taught in Delhi University, the faculties, those who are teaching there in Delhi University, they are having sufficient experience, they are having sufficient knowledge with them to meet with his aspiration. As such, his realization, his experience will be much better, he can go there. So in this academic bank of credit, lots of agility is coming to the system. But execution part, as we all are apprehending that it will be very difficult, but I think now the government of India has come with a solution of NED, that there will be one national academic depository of the credits, and there each one of the university, the degree granting institutions have to register, and they have to put the credit of each one of the student enrolled there. And whenever they are going to the second institution, as it happens in all the Western countries, they are following it since last few years, or I can say 1 decade, that can be transferred to that institution. Again, students will be pursuing and they'll be getting the degree as per the convenience of the students. So that in that way, I think academic bank of credit will be helping the students a lot. Second aspect of this academic bank of credit, it facilitates the students to take courses from foreign university also. We have seen that in this during this COVID-19, during this Ukraine war, the students, those who are having aspiration for international education, they have to migrate. They don't have any other option till now with them, that they will be studying in any institution in this country, and they will be completing 2-3 semesters somewhere else and bringing that knowledge to the university itself. We didn't have that sort of flexibility with us. But this national education policy has brought that newness to the system, that students, those who are interested for international education, they want to learn few subjects from USA, few subjects from Taiwan, few subjects from London. That sort of flexibility has brought into the place. So anyone is studying BTech in computer science, wants to get some credit from Cambridge, from University of Maryland, somewhere, they can bring it back. So this academic credit bank will be giving will bring lots of agility to the system itself.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, Professor Samantha. Absolutely. It's really about the diversification of knowledge that this banking and the credit system is going to bring to the table. That's going to really prepare the workforce for a global impact as well as a global stage. And I think that's very, very important, so that our students in India do not feel that they are any less smart or intelligent compared to anybody else, because they're following the same curriculum and the same way in which they are being acknowledged for their knowledge. So very, very great news. Professor and Dr. Chingtham, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here with you. I'm here.
Okay, great. So Dr. Chingtham, question for you is, adapting curriculum to rapidly changing world requirements that is being impacted by emerging technologies, find a very clear message in NEP today. How are we preparing for the same in your institutions?
Well, I just want to put it in a slightly more different perspective when it comes to technology and when it comes to this national education policy. If I summarize on what people have said at the outset, I would like to thank everyone. Before I forget, I'd like to thank everyone for organizing such a wonderful session, and I'm sure it's very, very important at this time of the at this juncture. At the end of the day, if you look at everybody, whoever have been commenting or have been talking about it over the years about the new education policy, and in fact also to the opinions of various panel members today, the respected panel members today. If we look at it, the education policy basically is built on about 5 pillars that we actually want to build upon, which means accessibility is the first point, affordability, equity, quality, and accountability are the 5 major pillars that actually is we are trying to build upon. But having said that, there are a few challenges that each one of us face at each one of our institutions, and this needs to be solved right at the bottom of the pyramid, because we cannot possibly change it at the top layer. And hence, therefore, it is very important that the technology interventions are going to be an important, key player in making sure that things work. If I have to put a little bit perspective, making things accessible to various courses, like the way we have seen from the previous speakers. If I to tell you, stating one example, if you talk about Steve Jobs, we would never be having the font face that we use today. We use different type of fonts that we are able to use today. It was just because Steve Jobs was allowed to attend one of the classes on calligraphy, and because of which he could build his fonts in his new machine. And in fact, Microsoft, went on to make this. It's a story that's already available. But what I want to understand is, what I wanted to convey is, it's all about technology. Is not always about technology. It's about the underlying principle that brings this innovation, that brings this brings this changes that can be converted into technology. It's not about building the technology on the top. Technology is just an enabler. Besides that, there are other better things. There are many things below at the bottom of the pyramid. For instance, the country as we speak today, there are only 10% to 11% of the population speaks in English. You and I are privileged. Majority of the people who are on the board today are privileged because we speak English, understand, and we can speak English. What about the remaining 90%? The new education policy has brought into the larger rubrics of the education policy, has brought about the larger changes with the local dialects and the local language being enabled. It's like in Hindi, we have this, there is a saying in Hindi that says, "Hum apne bhasha mein sochte hain aur English mein bolte hain." That is something which is very, very dangerous to do, because the innovation at the grassroots layer has never been converted into a technology. This is something that it's very, very important that we have to look at. For instance, if you look at the underserved region of the country, since our Professor Tongbram as well as Professor Manna mentioned, I would like to highlight briefly about the Northeast, because I come from Manipur. I have studied in IIT Guwahati, fortunately from Professor Anil Sir's institute, and also presently working in Sikkim for the past 20 years. And I've been in academics for more than 20 years now. So when I look at this entire Northeast in the underserved region, when we try to develop the country, the development of a country can only happen when you develop the weakest link of the country. And with the new education policy, I see that these changes are likely to happen, because you are trying to pull in everybody together. AWS is launching in Bangalore and Mumbai, or these are already developed places. We need to go to the underserved regions like tier 3, tier 4. These are cities and places that needs to go to. We need to reach there as well. The digital divide is all about reaching these places. What I wanted to tell you and highlight on this August platform is, if you talk about the Northeast, there are about 6 crore population in the Northeast alone. out of which there are 40,000 villages and 80% of this population live in these villages. When we talk about these numbers, when I talk about the 80,000, the 80% of the population, you have never been able to reach this part of the world. And as we talk about development of the country, unless we reach to this 80%, we are never going to go beyond. So it's very important and pertinent that we reach to this part of the segment of the country. So what I just wanted to convey is, in fact, in the Northeast itself, there are about 220 different dialects being spoken. So putting it very simply, putting it in a very simplified version of it. So what I wanted to just convey is, when we have to think about technology and enabling the digital divide, it's not always about building technology. Technology is building on top of it. But having said that, it's also more important for us to understand where we have to build first. Because unless you have the foundation, the base is not there. We are only going to build on the top, which is not going to last. And therefore, it's important that we reach out to the larger mass. I think the national education policy is definitely going to bring everything into the larger rubrics. Over that, once it is built, then we can build technology. We can bring Web 4, Web 3, and whatever we talk about, the industrial revolution, whatever we talk about can be built above that, and it's going to be much more stronger. Otherwise, we'll end up building larger building without a base or a foundation. And therefore, I think from that perspective, we would definitely like to look forward and make sure that everybody contributes. Having said that, we definitely do need a collaborative effort, like how Professor Samantha ma'am has said. I think we definitely need a very, very collaborative effort to make this go and progress further. But having said that, we still need to work at the grassroots before we talk of the larger scale of things. So I think that is what I just wanted to convey. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your views, Dr. Jingtam. And absolutely, I think from the industry, we definitely believe that technology is an enabler. So you absolutely hit that right on the head. Between Intel and AWS, we have a vision of creating technology to enrich and impact the life of every citizen on this planet. So it's really about adding the value and impacting the life. And of course, education will continue to be a strong enabler for education, while technology will be an enabler for education. So with that, I know that we're already running out of time. I shall quickly summarize. Thank you so much, my co-panelists. It was unbelievable of a discussion, amazing passion, amazing impact, amazing value from all the amazing expertise that is on this panel today. And I hope that the audiences have learned and taken some directions from the views and ideas that were shared today. Creativity, power of partnerships, collaboration, access, and the greatness of the NEP, which is second to none in the world, is really something to be proud of. But to take it to the next level, you need to have the experiences, you need to have the right collaborations, the partnerships, as well as the vision for your individual institutions. So we thank you all my co-panelists, and I pass the floor over back to
thank you
Dr. Mana and Inder Preetji.
Okay,
thank you, Kansha. It was a great discussions took place. So quickly, before we are going to concluding, and I will request to DP Singh ji to conclude this session, I would just like to have a one-liner from each speaker, whoever is present over here. NEP 2020, what for you? I repeat, NEP 2020, what for you? That's it. I will start quickly from each and every. Okay, Sila, I'll go to you first. What do you speak in a one-liner? NEP 2020, being you all are educationists, you are running institutions and the different capacities, so you may be in position to speak something. Yeah, Sila. I could see Sila's camera zone, but I think she could not unmuted herself to be. Okay, Dr. Tej Banta.
Yeah.
2020 for you.
Yeah, I've got now unmuted. Should I?
Yeah, you are audible now.
Yeah, sir. If you ask me to express in one way, so definitely I'll pick up the most relevant part from my life. I have seen a lot of students, the dropout. So NEP 2020 is going to get back all these dropout and giving a platform so that the maximum number of students come into the mainstream.
Absolutely right answer. Yes, absolutely. This is what the call. That's why we given a multiple entry exit point. So when you are following the peers and you're joining the science later, you realize I'm a good in guitar, I'm good in drama, so you can switch over to drama without wasting your ear. That's right, absolutely. Dr. Tej Banta, I'll go to you. What is NEP 2020 for you?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. In my opinion, the NEP is supposed to, at the end of the day, the whole culminative effort of NEP 2020 is to build good human beings capable of rational thoughts, actions, and possessing compassion and empathy is what I feel the policy is going to bring. Thank you.
This is the Honorable Minister spoken today. The competency we are going to bring with this multidisciplinary approach, the competency, global citizens, we are going to create a global citizens. Yeah, Professor Sasmita, yes, I was listening to you. You have a great vision. Yes, of course. You can have a one line on NEP 2020 for you, please.
Yeah, I think this is a tool for educational excellence and will be helping the people for lifelong learning and stay connected with the knowledge and contribute for that.
Connected. The collaborations, this is what the NEP 2020 says. You collaborate with the international institutions. They invited 100 top institutions in country India, not physically, but of course virtually. And this is what the collaborations means. And you well taken this part. Yes. Our young dynamic speaker today, yes, Mr. Datta, and likely to be a Dr. Datta in coming years. Yeah, yeah, please.
For me, like we always think that education has been in shackles. Now it gives us a freedom to run institutes any way we like, and now learning and knowledge is be king. So the students will be king. So that's how we institute should adopt it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm totally with you. Yeah, Professor Nath, I could see you. You are the one of the senior panelists. I think we skip sometimes because you were not able to connect at time. Yeah, Professor Nath, please speak.
Yes, yes. I am audible?
Yeah, you're very much audible, sir. Please.
Yes. Okay, sir. So from my side also, as this NEP 2020 is a vision document, so it is giving the liberty to everyone, not only just to get the things for their living, but for liberation also. So I am very hopeful that these documents of vision will lead everybody in a domain of freedom, and they will have the full expression of human existence. So that is what we are expecting from it. Yes.
Great. Thank you. Finally, you could make your presence amongst the panelists, and
I'm
sure your each is a great part. Although you've spoken for a minute, but your minute makes 30 minutes a great content. Yeah, Sanju, you are sitting there. I know that you are closely working with the ministries of Manipur, ministries of Assam, being a young entrepreneur there and EduLife. Sanju, can you speak for 2 minutes or 1 minute? How NEP you will bring amongst, because you are from the core from there. You're the core regional guy and you're doing amazingly. I know that. Can you speak for just 1 minute?
Yeah, sir. Thank you so much, sir, giving an opportunity to have few words here, sir. Actually, in the presence of our chief guest, Dr. Ranjan, sir, and our guest of honor, our AICTE chairman, sir. Almost from past 7 years, we are working together with all the institutions, government institutions, colleges, and even we have developed and set up more than 500 labs in all the other schools and colleges. And we have thoroughly worked together with all the industry institutions, collaboration with so many institutions, and we have supported a lot of students to bring them how the theory should be implemented using the techniques. So practically, we have supported a lot because theory, I have completed my engineering and MTech in electronics and communication from Bangalore, but still I don't know how to do soldering there after completion of my MTech because I don't know how to do it. Because I have learned the theory in my engineering level and MTech level, but I don't know how to do it. So when it comes to the company, every company industry have to give the tasks. So we have to complete the task within 3 months of time or 6 months of time or 1 year of time. We have to complete it. But that point of view, then the theory what we have studied till 4 years or 7 years or 8 years after completion of my MTech or the PhD level, then I have to learn, I have to go back to the industry, I have to start from my ground level, then everything I have to start from the beginning on. So we have developed such a prototype product where student can learn everything from there only. So this NEP will change the entire system of India in this practical level, how this industry level will connect to the students. The student can learn the NEP there. So through this NEP, I think there will be a lot of changes in this industry revolution 4.0. So there are a lot of industry revolution, a lot of techniques are coming, a lot of technologies are coming, but by implementing NEP, then we can change everything. So that every company, industry will learn, they have to love to come to each institution, every institution, and then they will get a lot of benefit from out of it. I think even the industry also, even the institution also. I think this is the point of I love to say, sir.
Dear friends, the person who's sitting in front of you saying that he could not understand how to do soldering, he could develop 200 tinkering labs in the schools of the country. You can Google out. He closely working with the Niti Aayog to be established a tinkering lab. So that's what the EduLife is doing throughout the country. Thank you, Sanjay, for joining us. You are a great support to us. That's wet. So now it's a time. Yes, Hila, you hand raised something. You want to say something, but 30 seconds. Yeah, please.
No, sorry, sir. I was just going to put clapping. And
Okay. That's great. So now it's a time to be invite our my senior colleague, DP sir. Please conclude the session so that we can move towards to the vote of thanks. Please, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Manna. At the outset, I would like to thank once again our Honorable Minister, of Education. He comes from that domain, and I think he set the whole big picture, the whole concept behind it. I think I was just pinging Dr. Professor Inderpreet Kaur and saying, he has real great content that he spoke about. And I think our chairman from AICTE, he is always so energizing, so clear in what he wants to say. And I think he gave the vision and asking all of us to rise to the occasion to execute on it. I think we had some very, very engaging discussions. I think Akanksha had some great points that she brought about, very engaging discussion. All the panelists contributed to that. I think any particular session is always incomplete if great and I would say varied inputs do not come into play, right? So I think that happened. And thank you, Dr. Manna, because you took over to ask for everybody's quick responses. That's also very interesting, I think. At this stage, I would also like to, while thanking all the panelists, I definitely want to thank you, Dr. Manna, right? Because I think you as a chairperson, president, award winner, so many things to your credit. I think you took time out. You were juggling a lot of stuff to go ahead and from your institution, which is IEE, where you are associated, get this organized. I think I'd like to thank Dr. Inderpreet Kaur, because she's really been at it for the entire logistics piece, as well as reaching out to everyone and making sure this goes off smoothly. And I am really also thankful to Shikha, who I don't know whether she's right now on or not, from AWS, and she's been an amazing person in terms of supporting this whole initiative. And folks, I'd like to share today, we don't have here with us our the education leader, Mr. Sunil Kumar, and he also had the space initiatives from AWS, because he's the guy who opened to say, hey, DP, we need to do something different. There's lots that's been spoken about it, but we need to really bring this to the surface through some discussions. And that's how we reached out to Akanksha, whether she'd like to partner in Intel, put up its hand. Yes, we will join in. And I know there are a lot of other people who also were supporting this. So thank you to each one of you. I must say that in the end, technology is indeed an enabler, right? I think a statement came as to what and how to study, right? I would say it is also about what technology to be used and how to be used to get the right, I would say, right levers in place to get the, to meet the NEP vision, which is there. I think there was a good piece that came up also on resource sharing, because I think the resources exist everywhere else. And I think we need to sort of share that. I think one of the speakers talked about virtual labs, right? A virtual lab can be accessed with so many people. I think these are some of the things where really technology can help, including accessibility. Yes, we do have a challenge on infrastructure. And I think the government of India has already announced, and there is going to be a lot of expansion that is going to take place on that. But Dr. Manna, to your question, what does NEP mean to anyone? I think to me, it's one of the key levers, which can lead the nation to a great progress and leadership position, right? So if implemented in a right way, this is what it will lead to. So thank you all. I really appreciate especially Dr. Manna, Professor Inderpreet Kaur for helping us all to come on a certain platform. We've had 4 sets of these sessions, and I think each one of them was very important. I would also like to say that we are as a technology industry, I think Intel, we are all there to support. We all are there. We have umpteen number of solutions which are there. We have some of the best global best practices which exist in the various parts of the world, which can be also shared. So with this, I'd like to thank everyone once again for their time, because time is the only scarce resource, most important assets. Thank you all. And I guess, Dr. Manna, everybody will be getting a certificate of participation, and of course a thanks certificate of appreciation for the time will also be going out to everyone. So I guess I leave that to you as organizers, how you have planned it. But thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Dear participants, all of you are going to get the participation certificate, of course, for sure. We are giving it from last 3 sessions, and this is the 4th session. We have not completed. We have started from here. Now we are coming to your place individually. So please do reach us. Please do reach the AWS, Intel, IGEN, or EduLife, to whom you want. Any services. Please, it's beyond our barrier. Helping the nation, we are helping all educationists. So please do not shy to write us. Do not shy to ask or ping us. We are available, and I'm sure on behalf of AWS, DP sir would be available from the IGEN, of course, Dr. Inderpreet, and from EduLife. And especially for the smart grids, we have a solutions because Dr. Sani is aggressively working on this. We can work on that also. Thank you, participants. Thank you, panelists, and a special thanks to our Honorable Minister who joined well in time, who spoken so well, and my mentor, Professor Anil D. Sahasrabuddhe, Chairman AICTE. With this, all we conclude. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.